Hello everyone, this is the latest handheld console launched by AOKZOE. AOKZOE belongs to ANX. This handheld console is equipped with Ryzen ANX 370 processor, 30-tug LPDDR5. There is a power button on the top of the fuselage, 2 volume keys, an opportunity for new skills, 3.5mm headphone jack, a USB 4G interface, and USB 8 interface. There is also a USB 4 interface on the top of the fuselage, and also equipped with OP-Link interface. The interface is really complete, satisfies all your needs at once. There is also a TF card interface on the right side. I used a Samsung white card to test the TF card slot. The reading and writing speed is shown in the figure. Built-in Hongji ONEB hard drive. The read and write speed of this SSD is quite fast. There is a bracket on the back of the fuselage. This bracket has great damping. Basically, you don't have to worry about the technology falling over. This handheld console is a huge improvement over the previous generation. That's because the screen uses a native horizontal screen. Sometimes you will find some embarrassing problems when using the vertical screen. For example, some games cannot be played in full screen. Some games can't mess with the front end and the like. In addition, this screen also supports VR variable refresh rate of 48/120. The measured maximum screen brightness is 480 nit. Color gamut covers 99% sRGB. Next, let's take a look at the actual look and feel of the screen. This time the AOKZOE handheld uses a capacitive rocker with a frequency of more than 900 Hz. Very accurate. Draw circles, and the sliding process is very smooth. The rocker can be pressed down normally in all directions, but there is still a little shit area in the center. There is no adsorption phenomenon. AOKZOE was built just right. Rebound very quickly, because the cross key is not the final version. I won't introduce too much. The top of the previous generation's pointed keys was more difficult to press. This generation doesn't have this problem. All positions can be easily pressed down. The damping feel of this current trigger is too large. Requires some strength by default. Only by pressing the 1.0 position. Don't go to the front end and increase the dead end. You can easily press the 1.0 position. This position behind. There is no programmable button. It would be nice if we could add 2 more spare parts. The grip of this handheld device is still very full. Very tianhapong. This grip is about the same thickness as a sling deck. Good grip. There's a 72 watt-hour battery stuffed into this handheld device. Body weight 739.5 grams. It would be great if it could be controlled within 700 grams since the battery is so big. Then test the battery life first. At 200 nits brightness, when half is on and 1 is on. 15 of power consumption wireless loop running Final Fantasy 15 benchmark test. Automatic shutdown from full power to 5%. The total time taken is 2 hours and 1 minute. It can be calculated that the average power consumption of the whole machine is about 25 point few. Peripheral power consumption 10 point few. It is worth paying attention to. This 15 handheld console already has about the performance of the 7840 Unitino. That is to say, when the operating phase control number is, power consumption will be lower. Loop performance will be more eye-catching. Low power shutdown charging power is 60 few when fully charged. This handheld device supports bypass power supply. Can extend battery life. Next, let's take a look at the actual gaming performance. 3 mark scores are unlikely to reflect the actual game. Stop running. No sense. I'm using the same image quality settings here. And in the case of power consumption, with the 2 most mainstream PC handheld consoles currently, make a comparison. One is SNEDEC. There is also a ROG handheld console. Let's take a look at the domestic 3 masterpieces first. Inner deification of Wukong. Since SNEDEC only has 800 resolution, the ROG handheld console has a 16:9 screen, so only 720. Only by controlling the variables and waves can the 3 run the same resolution. Unified settings for low special effects. 67 is the real mode. Let's take a look at the 10 power consumption first. The accretion layer is turned off for all benchmarks. 10 power consumption is originally the most advantageous power consumption range of 10. But even with such low power consumption, the frame rate of AOKZOE handheld console is still a little higher than 10. And while the frame rate is high, the power consumption of the whole machine is even lower because the battery is larger. The overall power consumption is lower. Calculating the battery life is a big difference. The final running result is 1034 frames. AOKZOE handheld 36 frames. Let's take a look at the 15 of power consumption. This power consumption of 10 has a small increase in frame rate compared to 10. Most games. 10 after 12U. The improvement is minimal, but the AOKZOE handheld has improved a lot. At this time, the frame rate is already 44% higher than that of SNEDEC. Compared with ROG handheld console, it is 8% higher. The final score was SNEDEC's 39 frames, AOKZOE handheld 56 frames, ROG handheld 52 frames, and when plugged in with a power consumption of 30 watts, SNEDEC is still 15 watts. 15 watts is online. Defini digs out the screen. This kind of power consumption. The frame rates of AOKZOE and ROG are almost the same. Compared to SNEDEC, the frame rate is about 75% higher. The final score was SNEDEC's 39 frames, AOKZOE handheld console 68 frames, ROG handheld 69 frames. Next, Take a look at the latest 3A masterpiece The Last of Us. The same 720p resolution. XeSS highest quality mode. I even used the settings from my last game optimization video. This gaming 370 processor has size and scheduling issues. Using only a small core will be much higher than using a large and full vibrator. Moreover, the growth time is also much more stable. Therefore, the comparison of this game is done using only small cores. Let's take a look at the 10 power consumption first. Under this power consumption, Slim Deck and AOK handheld consoles are growing at about the same rate, but the growth process time of AOK handheld is more stable. Moreover, the power consumption during the proliferation process is also 1 lower. And under 15 power consumption, ROG handheld console and Slim Deck are growing at about the same rate, but the growth process time of ROG handheld is more stable. AOK handheld console has a 30% higher growth rate. This time the low power consumption performance is really strong. And in the worst case, the 30 power consumption AOK handheld machine is 11% faster than the ROG handheld machine. There is a big difference between ROG handheld 30 and 15. The gap between AOK handheld consoles is not that big. AOK's frame rate is 60% higher than Slim Deck's. Last look at Assassin's Creed movie. Although there is no image quality option in this game Slim Deck. In fact, it's all down to low special effects. So unify 720p XeSS balanced mode. Test with low special effects. This game itself has a benchmarking program, but when using reconciliation, the running score option disappears. So I tried to retrieve the same archive. Test in the same scenario. Slim Deck ran 30 frames under 10 power. AOK handheld ran 28 frames under 15 power. Slim Deck is almost the same as ROG handheld. Both are 31 frames. AOK handheld ran 40 frames. And in the case of Super Power 30, the AOK handheld system ran about 50 frames. ROG handheld console around 45 frames. Same as Sweet Dreams 2. It is also 11% higher in vibration speed. Verification confirmed that the vibration speed was 60% higher than the discount. Test the performance and then look at the heat dissipation. At room temperature of 25 degrees, bake FPU alone for more than 30 minutes. The maximum temperature of the CPU is stable at 74.5 degrees. At this time, the wind noise at about 20 centimeters is 47 decibels. When baking the machine, the highest temperature on the front of the machine is 45 degrees below the screen. This heat dissipation is very nice. The left handle and conceal area are even cooler, only 28 degrees. The right grip is pretty much the same. It's only 28 degrees. The highest temperature at the back is near the air outlet, 49 degrees. There are only 26.7 degrees behind the right grip. Behind the left grip is 28 degrees. If your fingers are long, if you may encounter an area closer to the interior, that's 31 degrees. The maximum temperature at the top air outlet is 63 degrees. This shows that the CPU heat is effectively exported. Finally, let's talk about the front end. Long press this button in the lower right corner to open the front end. This front end is much better than the previous generation Micron. The home page can display various games. After entering the handle interface, you can also customize the button lock, as well as changing the time zone of the joystick and moving machine, etc. In other insider information, you can also set different power consumption for games individually. Do you need functions such as locking needles? In the system and hardware, you can also set the right size. The maximum can be set to 24, but generally, it is recommended to set age. Short press this button in the lower right corner. You can open a small front-end window in the game. Here you can adjust power consumption in real time. You can also change the resolution. The resolution has many built-in settings, available from 480p to 1200. This music screen switch. You can also adjust the number of cores used in the game. For example, use Quanlang small core to run to improve the smoothness of some games. To summarize, the advantage of AOKZOE A1X handheld device is the large 72 battery, rich extension interfaces, native honking, and supports 120Hz variable refresh power. The rocker also uses a capacitive rocker. The heat dissipation and power consumption performance of the whole machine are excellent. The only drawback is that there are no spare parts, even if it's a little heavier. And although it comes with a 100W charger, but the charging speed is only 65 watts. A larger battery should require a 100W wide charger. Okay, that's all the content of this video. See you next time. Goodbye.